Hi everybody, my name's John Miller and you are watching The Maiden Voyage of Everybody Trades, a show that unwraps the mystery of economics and wealth for the curious mind. And this is also the first video in a series I'm calling The Foundation. Now going forward, many of my videos are going to be topical and timely, but my goal with The Foundation is to give you a sturdy core of timeless economic wisdom that supports your growth for years to come. And with that, let's watch a clip from the 2015 film, The Big Short.
Mortgage-backed securities, subprime loans, tranches. It's pretty confusing, right? Does it make you feel bored or stupid? Well, it's supposed to. Wall Street loves to use confusing terms to make you think only they can do what they do. Or even better, for you just to leave them the fuck alone. So here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath to explain.
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, sorry about that. Well, clearly I'm not Margot Robbie in a bubble bath. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But what I am is the right guy to wash the mystery of money and wealth off of your glistening person. And you know what? Speaking of alcohol, it's often said that the first step to solving a problem is admitting that you have one. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. About a dozen years ago, I had an economic ignorance problem. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't irresponsible with money. I had a good grasp of basic things like supply and demand, opportunity cost. And frankly, I just tried to save my money as much as I could and not accumulate any debt. That was my family's philosophy. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Well, at about 22 years old, I'm going to graduate from college with honors, presumably ready to enter the old workforce. But unfortunately, I had no conception of something as basic as what the numbers on the bottom of the stock ticker meant. Well, but to show you how quickly things can change, a little more than 2 years later, I'm working as a trader on the Chicago Board of Trade floor. So that tells you can learn a lot in a couple years, but clearly I hadn't learned everything because I also bought and sold a house during that period. Gee, let's see how the housing market did from September 2006 to 2009, shall we? Ooh, I'm not gonna lie. When I look back at that chart, that one still stings a little bit, but man, it really hurt at the time. And my parents, God bless them, and almost anyone else I talked to, including my real estate agent, assured me that I wouldn't lose money on a house. Well, have you ever heard the phrase that most people's historical perspective begins with the day of their birth? Well, for my parents and the baby boomers, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who owned a house for several years that lost money on that deal. So it makes total sense that they'd think a house was as close to a sure thing investment as there was. People's past experiences have enormous influence on their future expectations and behavior. And it was after my train wreck of a house sale that I realized, while I had learned a lot about stocks, commodity futures, and other forms of speculation, I was still lacking in the big picture. I was at a complete loss, I should say, to explain how for decades the price of a house went straight up only to crumble dramatically overnight. Well, I got news for you. Spoiler alert, it turns out one of the main culprits is the Federal Reserve. No, stop. Come back, don't turn me off. Listen, I realize that most people lapse into a temporary coma whenever the Federal Reserve chairman begins speaking, but I'm not the Fed chairman, because if you stick with me, you're going to have a much better understanding of the world. Because unlike these Federal Reserve wonks, my goal is not to prove that I'm the smartest person in the world by spewing a bunch of gobbledygook that you don't understand. In fact, the powerful people at the Fed want nothing more than to, number one, to make you think you're incapable of understanding their special form of genius, and number two, to bore you to death. That is, quite simply, that's their goal, is just to bore you to death and make you go away. So I promise you my goals are quite the opposite. I'm here to clarify, not to mystify. Okay, thank you. All right, can we continue? Great. So, if Malcolm Gladwell is right, and it takes 10,000 hours, as he says, of deliberate practice to become world-class in any field, then during these past dozen or so years, I guarantee you I've got it. And not just in theory, in real trading for more than a decade. I have skin in this game, more skin than just about anybody. So if you're curious enough to come here, there's no doubt in my mind that you will learn and absorb all of this information and your life will be enriched. So whether it's the housing crisis, the dot-com bubble, or the Great Depression, by the end of this, you will have a better understanding of what caused them all. And hey, I was in the Chicago trading pits during the heart of the housing crisis. I've not only read voluminously about economic cycles, I've witnessed them firsthand as a speculator and as a homeowner simultaneously. And finally, and this is the key I want all of you to keep in mind, this video series is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's designed to open up your mind. See, I believe very strongly in the old investing trope, buy what you know. See, I think we all have unique insights into something. So my question is, what are yours? Because once we have an area of expertise or just even a deep passion for something, all you need is an understanding of how this crazy economy works. And with that, part 2 of the foundation coming up next is called, What is a Trade? And I'll answer that for you right after this.